All right, so I'm watching this video from Cruiser. Shout out to him for his video. It's titled Bungie's Secret Plan for Marathon Endgame. And basically what he's talking about in this video is how he's getting comments from users about the end game of, Marathon, and how they're kind of adding this Destiny twist to it. And I really, and then he even compares it to like arc raiders and stuff. So I thought it was a really good topic that I wanted to go over with you guys because, again, we're all excited. A lot of us are excited about Marathon, but there's a lot of people that are really on the fence about whether or not they want to get this game and play it or not. So in previous content, I've hinted at the idea of, like how Bungie raid mechanics are going to play a pivotal role in this game's success. So what Cruiser's talking about in his video here is he talks about, first he mentions that, and I agree with this take, which is we don't think that Marathon's going to come out here and sell 12 million copies in the first couple weeks or whatever Arc Raiders did, which was, crazy achievement. But we do think that Marathon's going to, definitely hold its own and then get better over time, especially once people start to see the real sauce behind what's actually happening. And that's what we're going to talk about. So he goes on to talk about how he's getting a lot of comments about the end game and how it's going to really make things stand out. And why is that? So Destiny players, we're totally familiar with raids and dungeons and that kind of thing, right? Like this is, since day one, when Destiny was invented, Vault of Glass, shout out to the OGs, man. I still think the best raid experience, King's Fall, is like, the fight for number one on which raid was better, King's Fall or Vault of Glass. That's like, I don't think that'll ever be won. I just prefer the Vault of Glass because, I was there, like OG, you know what I mean? Like it was just this new concept in gaming that had never been done before. It was incredible. So what we're talking about here is how does this translate to Marathon? So Marathon put out a post, talked about it in previous posts and media where like the Marathon ship map with the cryo archive is going to come out sometime after launch. I think it's going to happen within the first couple of weeks because I think they're doing a rollout kind of like they do when a new DLC comes out for Destiny, where you have they tell you to build up your loot and your light level and your best gear and get ready for the raid or the dungeon to drop because they're going to have contest mode and all this stuff. I think what's going to happen with Marathon is going to be similar, and because they talk about raid-like security measures. But here's where we get different, like where Bungie's making this special sauce, hybridizing this experience, because Marathon's an extraction shooter, and you only have 3 people on your team at any given time. Plus, there's PvE enemies and PvP players. But here's where it gets really interesting. So if you're a Destiny player, dungeons, 3-man activity, raid-like encounters, jumping puzzles, other kind of riddles to solve, boss fights, wave-based stuff, like all of the above. So imagine doing a dungeon in Destiny, but you also have to worry about other guardians. That's literally what's about to happen. And now some people will automatically like really not like this idea, right? Because when you go into a raid, or a dungeon, it's a PvE activity. Like we have 10 years of it ingrained into our skull as Destiny players. Like it's just me and the squad. There's no friendly fire. We just have to worry about the objective and the PvE enemies. And that in and of itself can be really difficult, especially if you have a trash team or you're running with randos. Everybody's been there. But now think about like, maybe you add in the gambit mechanic where you could be invaded while you're trying to do like freaking raid-like mechanics. Like so now you have a whole nother element to worry about. And it's not just any PvE enemies, it's other guardians that have the same capability as you do, but in Marathon, right? So what an interesting concept, right? Now, Destiny players are going to a lot of us, I think, will welcome it. A lot of us might be like, that ain't for me. That's terrible. Whatever. It's a very polarizing situation. But extraction players also have it, to my knowledge, and y'all can roast me in the comments if I get this wrong, because I've played different extraction games, but I'm not a hardcore guy in the genre, and I really don't mess with Tarkov a lot because I don't do mouse and keyboard. So feel free to roast me in the comments if I get this wrong. But basically, to my understanding, when you have like the typical extraction genre, your Tarkovs, your Delta Force, Active Matters, this new one's pretty cool if you haven't checked it out. You don't really have Bungie style dungeon raid mechanics that lead to a final boss. Like I'm not aware of that being a mainstay feature, if at all, in traditional extraction shooters. I'm not aware of it. Or if it's there, it's like super niche and not something that's common. So now the people that are used to the extraction genre are coming in, and they're gonna like get this experience that Destiny players understand intuitively. But both sides of the house are dealing with something that they're not used to. Extraction players are not used to, oh, wait a minute, raid like puzzles and a big ass boss fight with the compiler. What the hell is this? And then Destiny players are going to be like, yeah, raid, dungeon, security measures, and a boss fight. Oh shit, what do you mean there's PvP players at the same time? Like it's going to be so like, it's just this chemical reaction of community blending that I'm so excited to sit back and watch and be a part of at the same time. And because it is psychologically, it's just this different approach that nobody else. This is exactly why I tell people that I don't think Marathon's going to fail at all. I'm not going to say it's going to sell 12, 14 million copies. I'm not saying that. I'm not. Like, this game could end up just doing minimal. I don't think it's going to fail. Anyway, back to the topic, right? So now we're getting this community, blending with both sides experiencing something they're really not used to conceptually, right? Now we add in the Bungie secret sauce, because I don't care what anybody says. I will die on this hill. Bungie shooting mechanics are the best that's ever been or ever will be. You talk to any gamers that have ever played Bungie shooters, and they all almost unanimously agree that the feel you get as a player from a Bungie shooting mechanic is easily the best that exists in the genre. Like, that's absolutely the best feeling. So that's another reason I don't think this game will fail, because the PvP is really good, because Bungie actually can cook with PvP, and the shooting mechanics are the basis of that, right? Sure, you have the PvE side, but Bungie's shooting mechanics really shine at the highest skill ceilings in PvP. And that's evident when they've had Trials of Osiris and Iron Banner and stuff like that with Destiny. And now, of course, they're bringing that into Marathon. Destiny players are going to feel right at home from a shooting mechanics perspective. And it's just something that, in my opinion, guarantees that there will not be, like, the game won't fail. It just won't. And you couple that with a true diverse set of loot and character abilities and synergies, which is also really great, because they're adding some synergistic approaches from Destiny into Marathon in certain ways. You have the runner shells that all have different abilities. You could call them guardian classes if you want. You have different cores that are like mods for your runner shell that are almost like weapon mods or armor mods that, and totally change up the gameplay style completely, right? And then on the weapons, they said there's over like 500 mods or something. I can't remember if they said 400 or 500. Correct me in the comments on that one. In the latest Runner Vidoc breakdown, they talked about this and said there's like, so there's gonna be so many weapon mods. So between weapon mods, runner cores, the different rarities of all those things, and the massive loot pool, and then with all of that and the shooting mechanics, like you're just gonna have this really crazy amount of, and that's out of the loot and stuff that we know about. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of secrets and loot that we have to earn or find or whatever. And then you take the concept of like, what if you had like exotics that can drop from this big encounter with the compiler? Almost certainly that's going to happen. They're really hyping up this, go into the cryo archive, do raid like security measures, fight an entity that even the UESC fears, like, and they've hinted that that's where you're going to learn the most. The lore is going to be real heavy. You're going to uncover all kind of cool dialogue and secrets and stuff. So, and they have a huge voice cast, you know what I mean? So they're probably going to be putting that voice cast to use in a big way to give us that, to deliver that lore, which I'm really excited about. Shout out to Morla, who voices Eris Moore, and she's in Marathon. I'm super excited to find out what her role is. Of course, we got Ben Sargent for English, like all these huge names across the industry. Really cool stuff. But yeah, I wanted to cover this kind of topic specifically, the end game. Shout out again to this creator, Cruiser. I hope I'm saying that right. This is his video and his content, and he's talking about what is possibly going to really help this game stand out from the rest. And I agree, it's the end game. You're going to have all this loot and all these cores and synergies with your runner shells. But the end game experience with the crazy maps, the boss fights, and the raid-like mechanics where other PvP players can come in and invade and really just screw up your shit is going to be a legendary, super polarizing experience that is just, I don't think you're going to get that experience anywhere else. That experience absolutely does not exist currently in Arc Raiders. You have a couple of huge Arc variants that you can help other players take down, but you got to worry about PvP, and that's cool and everything. But generally speaking, the loot pool in Arc Raiders is not what I would call exciting. That's why I actually kind of fell off. The loot just got boring. It's not a bad game at all. They really need to like get a bigger loot pool. Excuse me. And they need to do a end game that is more interesting and has more going on than just, oh, there's a new big robot to take down. Okay, I mean, that's cool, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just kind of, and then the lore, I don't think the game is super, like, there is a backstory to Arc Raiders, a really cool lore to it, but how that lore is delivered just doesn't seem like a priority for them. And I would love to see that change, Bungie, on the other hand, with Marathon, if you're someone who's in it for the lore, we're going to be eating good. I don't know if you've played Destiny, but they sell books on the lore. There's shitloads of it. So like Bungie obviously knows how to cook in the writing department with their lore, and given, that with the voice cast that they have, I'm so excited on that front too. So look, there's plenty to be excited about with Marathon, and there's plenty of reasons to believe that, yes, in fact, the game will probably do quite well. I'm not going to say how well because, look, I realize that it's a very polarizing game, and, who knows what the hell's going to happen. But let me know in the comments if you guys are pre-ordering this, if y'all are going to play. I already got my collector's edition over here. I'm not sure if y'all can see Thief over there, but I'm ready to go, man. We're all in on Marathon. So let me know what class you're planning on playing. I'm playing the Destroyer and Thief class. That's the two that I really want to play. But yeah, let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you in the next video.